What's going on, y'all? I'm back with another one. This is Behind My Eyes. This is the second song that I built in Kygo's music production class back in January. I did the first video on Dangerous, which is the first song I did. Put that out already, so if you haven't checked that out, I pretty much just walked through that video, showed my workflow a little bit, showed how I built that song piece by piece, and kind of showed a little bit of my mixing techniques. It was very broad strokes on that video, just kind of showing you, getting you a feel for what I do and how I do it. This video is going to be a little bit of the same. I just want to show you my workflow, how I built this one, because this one is also, I love this song a lot. I was able to do a lot of my own influence instead of just doing like EDM type stuff on this. I was able to did some pop punk elements in it as well, like electric guitars, kind of chugging, and a cool little like full kit drum fill that I did towards the second drop, that I thought added a really cool element, and I feel like you don't really hear that on much of these types of EDM songs. So with that said, I'll play the song and I'll see you in a bit. So same thing, this song, I built it out starting with the chorus. I got the singer and his piano groove that he made with the song. That was it for the demo. Took that, threw it in here. See, it's still up here. I'll play a little bit of what I was given.
So hot when you know your heart is beating the same. You don't like what you know, I'm walking away.
So, as you can hear, it's pretty casual. Like, it's just a very calm. It has like a nice soft pad behind it. Singer, it's like supposed to be, from what he wrote, it sounds like a very chill, very like kind of almost like melancholy type song. But EDM doesn't care. You know, you make an EDM song and you make it hype. So that's what I did, and I think it turned out pretty well. See, I took this EDM piano. Sounds a little bit different, right? And in my last video, I kind of explained how I just take I play out the chords on my piano and record it. This piano right here, record it, and then I just chop it up and try to find cool little variances of the chords that I can use in the song to kind of keep the song moving. And you know, it can change by each arrangement. You have your intro piano playing something nice and soft and just kind of building the song up, and then you have your verse maybe a little bit different, more upbeat, just kind of getting ready. It's building tension, and then you have your build up. That's usually, it's either playing the same as your drop or it's playing something sort of similar, and then you have your drop, your main chorus that's like playing the groove, the main hook that you want to do. So what I did, I usually started off with the chorus, doing these guys with these pianos, and then like my last video I said, just copy and paste these suckers down and go from there. Start experimenting with different pianos, different tones, octave up, octave down, whatever you're able to make sound good layered together is what like the goal is here. See, that's a very kind of like a 80s like phaser type piano. I don't even know what the heck that is, but it works, you know. It has a lot of delay on it. More of a plucky piano. So it's nice to add, like, you have your main, you know, big chords that people are intro. See, I have the intro piano. You have your main big chords here that are like the main backbone of the song. And then you start layering on like maybe a plucky piano. Then you layer on like maybe a soft piano with a lot of delay or something to add a little bit more atmosphere or bulk to it. Let's see what this intro piano sounds like. See, that's just doing chord by chord. So that sounds a little bit similar to what I was given, right? So that's the name of the game right there, is just getting those pianos layered up, getting them sounding good. There's no limit to how many of these you want. I mean, of course, you don't want to have too many that it's just kind of muddying up everything and hard to tell what's what if you have too many sometimes. But if you have, you know, 10 pianos on here and they all sound good together because you either EQ'd them out or you just placed them properly, maybe pan one to one side and pan one to the other, you know, that's a good way to go. And some of these I even go into here and I use this little guy. I don't know if you have Nexus or what, but a lot of these will have an option to like do like a spreader. So it'll take the tone and pretty much just duplicate it and just widen it out. It's just like a stereo widener. And sometimes that's good to use because you don't want all these pianos in like right in your middle that are just bunching up all this stuff. You know, you have your kick in the middle, you have your snare in the middle, you have your vocals in the middle, your main vocal. So like you want all these to have room, right? Your kick and your vocals may not be colliding with each other because they're kind of two different things. You got your kick in the low end and you got your vocals in the high end, but your pianos plays a lot of mid-range frequencies, and so do your vocals. So you don't want your pianos, you know, kind of mudding up with the vocals and you can't hear the vocals that well. Or if you have a snare that's in the middle, which is a mid-rangey, mid to high range instrument, and you have your piano there, and they're both just colliding with the same frequencies, it's just going to start making things sound like too messy, and things are going to get pushed way down into the mix. So it's good practice to make sure that you have these instruments in their own little spectrum, their own little slot to live freely, so that way the mix can breathe a little bit and you can hear that separation. And that's kind of what it's all about. If you look at like a stage where people are performing, you have like guitars on either side, right? You got a guitarist on one side, guitarist on the other. Their amps are both on either side. And then you have the drummer in the middle in the back. And then you have the vocalist, main vocalist, in the middle in the front. And then maybe a keyboardist in between the guitarist and the drummer. And then maybe like a DJ in between the other side, you know? So they're all spread out on the stage. And that's kind of what a mix is. You know, everybody's spread out in their own little section. So you got to make sure you're not colliding with anybody, not colliding with different instruments and losing them in the mix. Let's see, I got the leads here. So these are going to sit higher than, you know, your main piano, because these are going to shine once the chorus hits. You want these to shine pretty bright. For this, whether it's like a piano lead, like I had in my last song, the this one I changed it up and I did more chords, so like swelling, like you'll hear it when I play it, but so it's a good technique to do this, like have that swelling option, because if it's kind of hitting, like the chord is playing that instant that it's pressed while everything else is playing that same instant, it's not going to stand out as much. Like what I was saying, it's just going to get jumbled up with everything. So sometimes it's good to decrease the attack on these things. An attack is pretty much how fast it's going to play, right? It's the attack of the instrument. So you decrease the attack, it's not going to play maybe that instant, it's going to play a couple milliseconds after it's triggered. So I have my attack, I think here at 305 milliseconds, decay at 406, sustain, and then my release. So it's good to play with those attacks and releases too, so that way they stand out a little bit more. Nexus is a little bit easier to find these. See, I just took the amp mod and I took the attack down, so that way it's not just getting muddied up there. So, and also that's kind of a good way, like this is the sound I was going for. So I didn't necessarily do this technique to make these stand out more. I did it because I wanted it to have that swelling effect. But also I helped myself out as well, because I did that swelling effect. So it gave these instruments more room to kind of breathe up and create more like dynamic variance in this chorus, and also just like, you know, keep everything exciting a little bit more. So also have this guy. I'm not sure what this is. Just a little bit. See here how beefy that is? That's just kind of filling that a little bit of extra space there with all these. And it's stepping down. So that's another good thing to know, is when you're building out these chords, sometimes it's good to layer these chords with maybe not the exact same thing. Maybe have it step down instead of step up at the same time. It's good for, I mean, it just creates a little bit of variance and a little bit of, you know, different tonality in what you're creating here. Make sure it's, you know, within the same like key and within the same what am I trying to say, scale, but also it's just going to help you out more in the long run. Let's move on to the bass, donk. Let's check this out. So like my last song, I took the bass, the bass a synth, and I utilized that as like more of like a pluck instead of like a riding bass tone, and I use the sub as the riding bass tone, and just and just I kept the same notes that the upper bass is playing, but I just kept that low end to kind of drive everything else, like that. Like I was talking about, it's like the wave. It's just kind of rolling through that chorus and sustaining that low end, carrying the rhythm section a little bit. And you pair that with the kick here. Very, very punchy kick. Bass is important in a lot of these songs. I know you want to do, I mean, the kick is definitely, I feel like, more important, but bass will just add that great low end rhythm section that everybody loves to hear. I mean, they feel the bass and they feel the kick. You know, kick by itself may not be totally exciting. And bass, like, I feel like there's a certain kind of like emotional element to it when you have that bass flowing with everything else. It's like, it's more like the wave, and then you got the kick as the boat. It's carrying the rest of the rhythm section, but the wave is that's pushing the boat is the sub. So very important to work on getting these subs and kicks to work together, and make sure you're cutting out these frequencies that are colliding with each other. Like I took out a lot of these. I don't need any of this, you know, because I already have that going with these bass frequencies, and I cut all that low end out. So it's not really needed. So here I have the snares. So it looks like I did 3 snares and a clap. Let's check these out. So they have like I have some reverb on this, but you can hear it when the audio files end. It kind of like, so these already have reverb like imprinted in the audio file, and then they cut off. So, I mean, you can't notice that a lot of times if you're just playing the mix, but I usually try to add maybe a little bit. I bust all of them first and foremost, and then I add a little bit more reverb so they're all sound like they're coming from the same room. That's also kind of important, as having good reverbs that are making sure that it sounds like it's all one performance, and not like you recorded the kick drum like outside somewhere in a parking lot, and then you recorded the snare in like a perfectly treated room. It's just not gonna come together. Kicks in this type of genre doesn't really need any reverb, but like this applies to like any other type of music. You kind of want your instruments to sound like they're being recorded or played in the same room. But same thing with these snares. I layered them. I have whatever snares I found on Splice. More of a beefy snare. That's where all that reverb's coming from. A little bit more snappy snare. And then I got the clap here. I mean, that's not really doing much, but if you can see this, I added it to the second half of this verse once it does this little drum fill. It's just a little something extra. Like a lot of the times you don't have to make things that are going to be super noticeable, but I mean, underneath the hood, it's going to help with everything else. It's going to dynamically help. I mean, you don't really need to show or have everything be present in the mix, like specifically, like, or I guess you just don't need to make sure everything's poking out all the time. It's okay to have something like hidden underneath that's more of just helping with a little bit of those frequencies, kind of bringing those frequencies up. And it's not so much noticeable that sound specifically, if that makes sense. I have the hi-hats here too, and I bust all these as well. And these all come in at the second half. So like I said in my first video, it's good to have some variance here. So the first part isn't having any kind of hat or any kind of crazy trap hi-hats that I have come in yet. So you save that for the second half for the listener, so it's not, you know, the same crap over and over again. And then I have it filtering out at the end. So this is the intro hi-hat. And I got a little shaker here with some verb on it. And then a ride. So, all together. And this is how you should be layering a lot of your rhythm section. You want to be adding elements that's just going to make the beat more interesting. If I just had like the trap hi-hat, I mean, that's cool, but it's not the best. Like, it's not super interesting. It's pretty boring by itself. Then you start adding in elements. And then all of a sudden it's all filled out, you know? So, layers, guys, layers. That's a big deal. I have a down sweep here. I'm pretty sure it's the same down sweep I used in the last song. And pump your down sweeps. 100%. Like, I add my down sweeps to like my drop bus, which I'm pretty sure is all the pianos together. And the bass. I added the sub to it. But add pumpers to your down sweeps. It lets that chorus kind of get more into a groove. Adds a cool element to it. This song has really cool fills. I feel like I did a good job with creating these kind of hand creation. I first and foremost I've been making a lot of pop punk first before I even started doing any EDM or any other type of genre. It's always been rock or pop punk. Grew up listening to Blink-182, so Travis Barker was like my drum inspiration. All his fills. I mean, if you listen to some of my songs, you'll hear Blink-182. I mean, you'll hear Travis Barker drums and fills and all this stuff. So I feel like I owe it to him. I learned a lot of how to build. I'm not even a drummer, but I've learned how to build out drums in a way that sound realistic and they sound something that would, fit in. But these are like more of an intricate type of drum fill that I've ever done. It's more of like I'm just piecing samples together. Usually I'll have a drum kit, like a virtual drum kit, and I'll like MIDI out the drum fill with like variances and velocities just so it sounds a little bit more realistic, like an actual person's playing. But this time around it was a little bit different. I did it like by sample. So I'll just give you a listen of what this sounds like by itself. With a shit ton of reverb. Yeah, I mean, drops are very important. You want to have cool impact. You want to have interesting fills that bring in and introduce that large chorus. So this I had in mind, like I wanted some kind of cool tom fill, but since I'm using like pop punk elements, maybe I'll just use kind of like a cool, I guess it would be like a pop punk or like a rock fill. This is a pretty generic fill. So, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but I beefed it up and I made it sound like it was an actual kit. And that's a 909 right there that I just added and just did some EQ on it, took out some lows, boosted the highs, cut the super low frequencies, and then I layered that with thicker toms that I wanted. I mean, that's a fucking punchy tom right there. Like super, super compressed. A lot of bass, a lot of, lots of verb. That's not really doing anything. And those are all layered together with mid tom. And then the two lows. Which, yeah, compress that. And as you can hear, excuse me, these are all panned around. So you want them to sound like, you know, they're all over the place. Like it's an actual kit in front of you. So get creative with your panning. Get creative with your layering, tom layering. Add a crazy little 909 or 808 toms that sound kind of phony by themselves, but then you add in real instruments over top of it, and it just beefs everything up. Mix that with a little bit of like reverse hi-hat to bring it in. So I added this to kind of introduce the toms. This little quick riser. And that's also a good little trick. I like those reverses that come in right before something. It just, I don't know, it just feels like it adds so much to that impact that you couldn't have if you just didn't add it. So have the crashes here. Pretty similar to my last video. Just got nice crashes that I liked and added lots of verb to them, and then cut some lows. Get those frequencies out of the way. That's a big deal. And then I have it again here in the middle. So more reverse cymbals, more the same fill. I think this is the same thing. Yeah, just didn't bounce it down. And then always end. I feel like you should always end your choruses or something with a nice little reverse cymbal that just shows that it's exiting. That's a very Kygo-esque tip right there. He did a lot. He does a lot of those. I mean, I learned that from him, to add a cymbal and then add a long-tailed verb just to kind of add that effect, which is, it's smart. These are some long risers. Adds to the tension. That's what you want. Don't be afraid to just layer the crap out of those. Those are very important when it comes to these. And then I have this cool little wood block. I like that sound a lot. I pretty much just took the sample of that and then added a crazy reverb to it. A lot of reverb, 78% wet. And then I muddied it up a little bit, just so, not too much. But yeah, just little accents, you know, make it interesting. And then my chops, see, I kept it here. So these are all my chops that I did with the vocal. And this is what you need to do if you want to make these like sampled vocal chops.
Our love's running overdrive, feeding a flame.
See how I chopped it up? Our love. So we got love, our, running over time. Yeah. And then you take those and throw them into a sampler and just start chopping, you know, start playing along with the keyboard, and you'll find some cool little intricate sounds that you can make with that. And I mean, this is shit I wish I would have known like 5 years ago, because I'd be working on this all the time, making these cool samples, I mean, like if you listen to like Billie Eilish or Phineas on an interview, like they made a snare drum out of like a match strike, because they just sampled the match strike and then edited it a little bit and it became their snare. So, I mean, you can do so much with samples. Take your phone, record whatever, and upload it to Logic Pro and throw it in your sampler, and you can just, like, literally, it limits, like, the imagination is, like, limitless. It's crazy how much you can do with the sampler. So I got it filtered, and then and this is, like, the build-up right here. And it's slowly opening up. as it's coming up. Good technique to create tension. Also have the volume coming up too. And here's the frequency. So it's starting at 500. Yeah. It's a good technique to know. And then this one is cool because I thought it'd be fun to add like a distortion effect to the vocal and just kind of add that into the whole mix of everything. So you can take little words that he says and just throw it in there. Make it look cool. So it sounds goofy by itself, but it's like it adds a lot. So those are vocal chops. So I did a cool thing with the vocals here that I've never done before, but I did it for this song, and I loved it. And a lot of people actually do this on their records. If once you listen to this and then you listen to their records, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I have the chorus here. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a sec. So hot when you know you hot. So this is also another one that I got, and it sounded really good just right off the bat. Heart is beating, our love's running over time. Already wet. Beating a flame. Are probably already compressed, already EQ'd. All I needed to do is maybe just EQ it a little bit more and add some, whatever little tweaks I wanted to make it sit a little bit, make it a little bit more of a pop production. And then underneath it, I added this low pitch down version of the chorus. And added some distortion to it as well. Feeding a flame. So hot when you know your heart is beating. That just adds just a little bit extra element to it. Beating the same. You don't like what you know I'm walking away. Honey, you're behind. So what I was going to tell you is, this is what you'll hear in a lot of records is people use these things called vocoders. And they pretty much, you can take the vocal of whatever you have, you pretty much put it into a piano, and it turns the vocals into like a synth. So you can play chords based off what you're performing, and it'll play the vocal through those chords in that pitch. So I'll show you after. So I pretty much took the vocoder and I played the chords, dun 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 dun, and linked it to these vocals here. And it played it through, and it's a nice layer that you can add to your music. So I think it adds, and especially since it kind of cuts right there, and that's all you hear is vocals. It's a cool little thing you can add. So look into vocoders; those are pretty awesome. Add really cool elements. And then I pitched that up, and then added some cool distortion to that as well. See, drive, top, canyon, a lot of delay. So, all right, I'll go to the intro. So the drum beat that I used for this, I liked a lot. This kit by Contact called Butch Vig Drums. It's pretty awesome. I think it's if I don't know how much it is price wise. I think it's like $80, but this has so many dope sounds you can use, and you can customize all of them. You can go through his presets. He's got a good amount of them here, but each preset, you can tweak, you can change whatever sample you want in here. If you don't want this sample, you can just go find another one, find a different kick or hi-hat or whatever, and build out your own drums with it. So, but I found like a cool little preset. I like the Psych Red Swirl. I thought it had a cool little distorted dry vibe to the drums. Add a little bit more room and slap to it. Compressing pretty hard. Took out some mid and boosted about 1,000. And took out the super lows. But yeah, I like that kit a lot. Definitely check out Butch Vig drums. And I didn't think the kick really had a lot of low end to it, which now thinking back, listening to the mix again, I realize it's still pretty quiet, but nothing I can do about it now. But I did layer like a beefy kick underneath. So if you're not getting your drum sounding beefy, stupid plugin. You're not getting your drum sounding beefy, you just add those little beefy kicks underneath and just kind of copy the drum pattern that you have, and just send it down to a kick track that you can just filter out all that high frequency stuff, just so it's playing the beefy low end, and that'll beef up your drums. Oh, my mom. Anyways, I added this sub here to kind of carry this verse. A little bit more atmosphere here. I like this guitar a lot. It's also kind of finicky. The trigger on it's really weird. I don't know why. So that's how far you can really go with making it sound a lot different. So that's what I found, and I was like, you know what? I feel like it needs some like chorus or like a phaser, tape phase, and added a ton of reverb and a little bit of drive. So tweak your sounds. You never know what you'll figure out. Here's the piano. I mean, that's pretty much the OG piano that I was given, and I just did it out myself. So here's some strings. It's just kind of a drone. It's just in the background. And there's that block. And this is where I added this pop punk element. So I was like, let's get a little bit. I like that phase guitar, but let's get a little bit more distorted guitar in there. Recorded this guy. Filtered it out. So this is slowly being brought up. Pre-chorus piano bus, where is that? Slowly being brought up as it's playing, frequency-wise. So those are the same pianos, except these are just sustaining a little bit longer in the build-up than in the drop. So see, I tweaked it a little bit. So it's good to like have one thing, have it change it up verse by chorus, by intro, whatever. If you have the same chords, make it interesting, but with the same chords. Got the strings playing here.
So hard when you know your heart is beating the same. You don't like
Got a kick and I got a clap builder. So you can hear that kind of going up right there. It's the same concept. I just took a low cut and I just, filtered it all the way up till it reached the
rest
top.
of my days.
Pretty standard. Hear those pop punk guitars. More like metal. I was pretty inspired when I saw that like Marshmello did a song with A Day to Remember, and they added their pop punk element to it, and I was like, you know what, that's a good fucking idea. I need to start doing that. So thank you, Marshmello, for teaming up with my favorite band. That song is a banger. Rescue Me is the song. It's really good.
Long nights
Verse
came
2.
alive. Good times, bad thoughts to do. Can't love what you never had. So much never saw it true.
So this is like pretty much the same as the first time around. Like same instruments. Yeah, literally the same, except I added a piano underneath. So, I mean, it's not really, you can't really hear it, but it's adding something. It's adding a different feel to it, which is very necessary.
So much never saw it true. Don't think it's in my.
So this is cool. I added this cool little like reverse piano effect. So I pretty much took this piano and bounced it down, chopped it up, reversed it, bounced it down again, and then put it here. And that, I feel like, adds like so much of this little part, or else it'd be kind of the same. And I kept the beat going through it, because I've always wanted to kind of create this like reverse, like I love that reverse fact, like I've been saying, but I've never done it like in this context, I suppose. So it was cool to like experiment with it and figure out how to actually do it effectively.
Don't think it's in my. I'll move on instead. Our lives running over time.
And this is pretty much the same.
So hard when you know your heart is beating the same. You don't like what you know I'm walking away. Honey, you be like.
So this is that element that I was telling you about. So all this is the same, except I added like a sub drop right there. Which those are a lot of fun to use. Just don't overuse them and make sure they're not too loud. But definitely find those samples and add those to your mixes, because those are fun to like for transitions. But this drum kit I've been waiting to use on like a song like this. I feel like I utilized it effectively, and I mean, these aren't super easy fills here. I mean, I had to draw this because I wanted it a specific way. I couldn't just find, I mean, I probably could, if I looked hard enough, find an already pre-made one kind of similar, but I wanted this to sound exactly the way I wanted it in my head. So I built this out myself, and doing drum midis, it's tough. But the more you do it, keep working at it, you're going to get good at it. And the more music you listen to, and you don't listen to the song, you listen to the drummer and you listen to what he's doing, you're going to make more realistic drums. And just do your research and listen to a lot of music, and you'll know what to do. And start building music. You'll know what sounds real drum-wise, and you know what doesn't sound real. But here's the kit by itself. So, to the common ear, that would probably sound like it's real. To my ear, even that doesn't sound real to me, mainly because it's hard to get those little rolls in like perfectly to sound legitimate without spending like 10 years trying to like do little intricate velocity adjustments and little ghost notes that you add here and add there. And like I said, I'm not a drummer. I'm just literally based off what I've heard and what I've experimented with. So I got this sounding as good as I could, to where I felt like it fit perfectly in here. And when it's layered with everything else, you cannot tell. You cannot tell. I mean, half those ghost notes are kind of tucked underneath anyway. So that's just a little technique I like to do, or it's what I did for this song. I feel like it's pretty original when it comes to this genre of music. I don't think I've ever heard, maybe just because I don't listen to enough EDM, but I don't think I've ever heard a full drum kit playing something like that in a EDM song before a drop. And then I kept the same guitars here that are chugging. I like these guitars a lot. I want to listen to this. See, that sounds pretty legit to me, but it's because you're not paying fully attention to the like exact detail of every little hit that drum kit's doing. So a lot of your stuff, you can hide your mistakes. I mean, that's a big thing, but you don't want to have too many mistakes. But mistakes are good music. Sometimes it makes it feel more organic, makes it feel more real. And then I have a big drop here. This drop is awesome. Like big drums right there. And then it hits. I wish I had them all bunched together, but I don't. And then here's the tom fill again that comes in. What's this? Oh yeah. So I'll try to just play the fill for you here. I'll try to get all these going, so bear with me. I have this tom fill here. And then up here I have all the snare hits. And then piece that with all this cinematic FX shit. Yeah. And then I neglected the kick here, but yeah. So get creative with your drops. This was a lot of fun to do, and I mean, you're gonna get very into it and very hooked on this. It's once you start to learn cool little variances and how to build these things out, it really gets fun, and you can get really creative with what you're trying to do. And then the ending's pretty much the same, except I bring in the hats pretty quick. Except I don't bring them all in. I actually add. Are these added? No, these were in there before. I just didn't add them till the end. Transitions are important. I don't know if I've said that yet, but see, I added this symbol in between these little transitions, and then another symbol hit. And then down sweep hits again. So those are important. And then I added that little muted guitar just to switch it up.
You don't like what you know, I'm walking away, honey. For the rest of my days.
Yeah, so that's the mix. I think I covered everything. Yeah, I love this song. I hope you learned something from this. Oh, actually, I'm missing something. Let's check out what I did for the master bus. So, I feel like this is pretty much the same thing as Dangerous. I think it is almost the exact same thing as Dangerous. Yeah. So, fast attack, fairly slow release, negative 5 dB, not doing much. 2. It's not doing much. I mean, not right there, but. Yeah, so that's hitting spikes up to like 7 dB. So that's a good amount, but it's able to kind of keep down, especially that kick that's really punchy, and it's not going to let that stand out too hard. This is like pretty much copy and paste what I did. See, Dangerous, yeah. So I want them to sound the same, like they were made at the same time, which they kind of were. So that's a good tip, to save your presets and kind of just drag one onto the other. Same little cuts here, same little boosts here. It's all the same. Yep. So yeah, that is Behind My Eyes. I hope you guys learned something from this again. Thank you for tuning in if you stuck with me through this. I'm gonna I think I'll do my Cherry Blossom song next week, which is a hip hop singing kind of like chill vibe type song, which is like my most streamed right now, which I love a lot, and every person that's heard it or I've shown it to said they love it. So I'm happy about that. I'll show you my work through of that. So get out there and make some music. If you like this, just give me a subscribe and a like. I'd appreciate that, so I can get a little bit of positive reinforcement behind this. Comment if you need to see something or want me to talk about something, let me know. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so take it easy. Love you.
Honey,